I'm genuinely surprised with how so many of us can actually get away with saving a ton of money on audio while having a decent listening experience. And headphones are an industry that embodies this very well, in my opinion. Quite frankly, the choices have actually become pretty overwhelming for someone who can't pick just one great option from the many choices available. I've gotten the opportunity to test out a pretty formidable contestant that I'm fairly comfortable calling one of the best in its class. Introducing the TREBLAB Z2 headphones. Let's dive in. And now, I'd like to quickly say that this product was sent to me by TREBLAB for review. However, my valuation of this product will not be affected by this kindly gesture. These are all my opinions and mine only. With that said, let's begin with an unboxing.
Alright, so let's begin with an unboxing. And as I'm trying to make a habit of, I'm going to be using my trusty unboxing knife. So for that, now we have to look for a seam over here on the side. And let's go ahead and cut through that. And like this. Okay, can I open it? Yes, all set. So once the box is opened, you will find the case. And the headphones are going to be placed right around the center of it. This is how you're expected to carry it around in order to keep it as protected as possible. So in the box, you're going to find the user manual, the USB charging cable. It's micro USB instead of USB-C. And you're also going to find an audio connector, and this one actually has a line for a microphone, which is really nice to have. But the meat and potatoes, the most important thing, obviously, the headphones. And here they are.
And with that out of the way, I would like to talk about the Z2's physique. It's mostly comprised of a soft touch plastic that feels very nice and smooth. These headphones are very light and pretty small for the most part. They have the shiny plastic finish for the earpiece cover with TREBLAB's logo and very soft ear cuffs. The headband is expandable and has a nice amount of padding. These headphones don't fold in any way, but they can sit on your shoulders with the cuffs totally flat. And on these headphones, you will find a pause button, which also doubles as a power button, and you will also find a skip button, which is doubled up by a volume up button. There's a volume down button that is doubled up by another skip button, so it's a skip forward and a skip backwards button. They're separate, you could say. There's a micro USB port for charging, and there is a 3.5mm connection. On the other side, you're going to find a noise cancellation button or switch, which allows you to turn it on and off. And now, let's get this straight and out of the way. This is one of the most important things for me, and it's that these headphones are very comfortable. I'm happy with the amount of padding on the headband, the thickness of the ear cuffs, and the lightweight design of these headphones. This all contributes to them being easy to wear for long periods of time. However, these make my ears sweat a lot, though this is highly dependent on the current season and the fact that New York City is so damn humid this time of the year. But it's also that these have a pretty tight seal around your ears. It's great for listening to music, it's just that my ears sweat a lot in these, and I just figured that it was something that was worth noting, in my opinion. So, I just mentioned sound quality, and I did mention that they sounded pretty good. And, well, I meant that. They don't have a ton of bass, though it is present, and they don't overemphasize anything in particular, except for making the lows maybe a little more noticeable than the rest, or just emphasize just a little bit more than the rest. I wouldn't consider these to be the best for hip-hop or bass-heavy music, for example, but these are actually pretty good for metal, which is what I mostly listen to. Everything sounds mostly balanced, or at least nothing is overpowering any other aspects of any audio samples, which is awesome in my opinion. It's totally fine within this price range. This makes these more versatile for listening to all genres of music and not just one particular type, which is something I very much appreciate. And obviously, one of the star features of these headphones is going to be noise cancelling, which is something that has become very popular over the last few years. Which, by the way, also works really well. Music isn't that heavily distorted when turning this feature on, like how it is in some other pairs of headphones, though you will definitely notice it if it is on or off, just in terms of the sound quality in general. Naturally, with most instances of noise cancellation features, your headphones might sound like they've lost some of their bass, so music might sound a little tinny, which is why I would recommend this mostly if you're talking on the phone or just listening to someone speaking, and I'd avoid it for music listening unless it's the only way to hear what's going on at that current time. With this feature, you won't hear a thing that's going on around you. You can become very much immersed in your media, whatever you're listening to or watching. It's definitely very nice, and it's a feature I'm very appreciative of having. And another huge thing that I very much love, and I really wish that more modern, or at least more recent headphones or more higher end headphones would implement, since I just haven't had this kind of luck with them, is the ability to just pair on the fly. What I mean with this is that the first time around, there's a short setup process, but after that, these will pair right away as soon as you turn on the Bluetooth on your device, and as soon as you turn these on. It's just going to pair immediately, no questions. These won't give you any issues. This is something that I haven't had very good luck with more modern headphones, or I would say headphones from the big guys, like let's say Google, or even to an extent Sony. Let's say with Google, for example, with their first attempt with the Google Pixel Buds, I actually had very, very horrible luck getting them to pair. Sometimes it would take maybe a few minutes for them to pair, or they just wouldn't pair at all. That's how unreliable they were. Maybe that was just dependent on the fact that those Pixel Buds were not a very reliable pair by any means. But even with other pairs, sometimes they just take a little bit longer. They have to go through a longer process and that sort of thing. But these pair right away. It's very easy. Never have any issues. It pairs 100% of the time. I haven't had any failures with it whatsoever. I could in the future, but I haven't so far, so I'm very happy about that. The battery life is also quite good for these. So these average at around 20 to 25 hours per full charge. Now, I don't use noise cancellation very often unless I am in one of the circumstances that I mentioned previously. So I easily get about 25 hours out of these, so I'm fairly happy with the battery life. It's more than enough for me personally, and I don't have to charge these for many days in a row, considering that I only use these for a couple of hours at a time per day. So these actually last me quite a while, even up to a week with my current usage. So at the end of the week, let's say it's Friday, when I've gone through school, YouTube, or going through my regular day job, at the end of the week, maybe that's where I might have to charge them to the fullest, but they will last me all throughout. Let's say maybe of about 4 hours a day at a time. So I'm very happy with the battery life as well. However, there are still things about these headphones that I don't particularly love, and I think that these can definitely be improved moving forward. For example, the finish around the earpiece cover would look a little nicer if it didn't have that linear texture to it. It's not really the same smooth plastic that you would find around the rest of the headphones. I would actually prefer that a lot more, just because the cuffs would feel a lot nicer, though that might make them a little more prone to scratches, which is why I think they may have gone for this texture. This is actually fairly common for budget headphones, and I would personally like to see less of it, just because it's not really as stylish, and it would make them look even more premium if they use a different sort of texture. Another thing is that these buttons around the bottom of the headphones are a little bit small for my liking. I'm actually used to using larger buttons, like let's say with another pair that I reviewed recently that actually had ginormous buttons. Maybe it was just that I got used to using that pair for so long, but these actually are a little bit too small for me. If they were just a little bit larger, I think it would have been a little bit easier to remember the button placement. But another thing is just that there's only one button that has a different texture to it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But if they all had maybe a rather distinct texturing to them, they would be a little easier to differentiate. So that's another thing that would help, but I think that the sizing would help me remember the button placements a little more easily with these. And another thing is that these headphones have a micro USB port instead of USB-C. It's not that there's anything wrong with this micro USB port, but it's just that it being 2019, having a USB-C port would be so much more convenient, because most devices in this year have USB-C. In fact, anything that's not an iPhone has it nowadays. The fact that these feature micro USB cable just means that if I happen to want to carry the charging cable for this, one for my Pixel 2, it means that I have to carry two different cables, one micro USB cable for the headphones and a USB-C cable for my phone. Now, this isn't something that comes up very often, considering that these have such great battery life, so I just charge them at home. But if it just had one cable for both, or I should just say if this just had USB-C, it would make life so much easier. I think it's just a much better long-term decision moving forward to just make these a USB Type-C pair. And the last complaint that I have, or I should say just an improvement, that I would like to see for the future is that I'm not particularly huge on the way that these fold. There's only one folding mechanism, and that's just to fold them flat, like this. So then this is fine if you're going to carry them around you, have them around your neck, on your shoulders. Putting them flat like this just means that they're more vulnerable, that they're not necessarily as resistant, because anything can squeeze against it if you have this in a bag. In my case, if you have this in a bag with the laptop, I don't particularly like carrying any carrying cases for my headphones just because they add extra bulk that I don't necessarily need, even though these two include a very nice carrying case. I would like to see a different mechanism, like let's say similarly to my ATH M40Xs that allow you to just fold them in, or let's say just like a more standard pair of headphones that just might allow these to collapse within itself and just have it fold in rather than just fold flat. That would just help a lot in terms of storage and these staying more safely protected in any sort of containers without them necessarily depending on the case in order for you to feel confident enough to take these on your bag. But quite frankly, that's really it. It's all of my negatives with it, and it's not really that much. It was mostly me just nitpicking for the most part. And so that's really all I've got to say about these. This is a very solid pair for a solid price, and it is going to be tough to beat within its price range, if you ask me. You've got an awesome texture to the headphones, soft touch, great touch, great comfort, great battery life, good sound quality, and more little things that just make this a neat little pair to have around. If this is your price range, you can't go wrong by choosing the TREBLAB Z2s. You've got a solid recommendation from me when it comes to these. So yeah, go for it. And also, as mentioned earlier, TREBLAB worked with us to make this review possible, but they've also made us affiliates. So if you're interested in buying this pair directly from them or Amazon, we've got affiliate links for both in the description. If you use either of these links, we will get a small commission, which helps us run things a little more smoothly around here while not costing you a penny more. So please consider using them if you would be so inclined. And well, that's it for me. This has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you all later. Enjoy.